7:05. We got 6.
Joe, Sam, Nate, Connor, Sarah, and Mike.
Okay. Let's do the approval of minutes. Get that out of the way.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second with Sam.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
0.
Okay, so before we can jump, or stay on C1, so we don't have to go out of sequence for this one. And that is the public notice on file 025.
So you have 025 is in Narragansett waters
Yeah.
in Point Truth Pond. 024 is in South Kingstown waters. Same applicant, same type of activity.
Is this the exact same concept as when the docs come to us? It's like a heads up. What's the discussion point for us? What's the discussion point for us on these?
On this here?
Yeah, is this like automatically we get one just like any?
We didn't get it automatically. Mike had to intervene. But reviewing it for impact. Right. We don't have to look at the Narragansett side.
You do have the applicants present here, if you want to hear from them, to let you know what they're looking to do. We have John and Cindy West, right?
Correct.
And are you
Yeah,
folks
that's-
here for the same application?
We're just here to support.
Yeah,
Oh,
here to
okay.
support and learn.
Do you mind, for the record, just who you guys are? Your names?
Oliver Dixon.
Okay,
Devin Dixon?
We're also oyster farmers in the pond, so.
okay. Was it DEVEN?
Yes.
Thanks.
That's a model of each basket right there.
And Dorothy, we'll pick you up later on when we're done with this one. So you don't have to sit through all the other stuff.
Okay.
And on the agenda, you'll be under D7, which is our Marina Park, Town Farm Master Plan.
Okay.
Any thoughts on this one?
Have you presented this to the Narragansett Harbor Commission? I'm curious, like, do we have anything, summary? I know we usually get their meeting summaries.
Yeah, their minutes aren't available, but it was on their agenda for Tuesday night. I believe the applicants may have been in attendance, if they want to brief you as to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
what's
Maybe
transpired.
just as a starting point, just curious to hear what the feedback was from the Narragansett Commission, and, you know, I think the Narragansett side of things is probably less our purview than the South Kingstown side of things, but yeah, I always start there.
Well, we were able to address some concerns from the Harbor Island Association.
Yep.
And it felt like they had a better understanding after we had some discussion. And ultimately, just sort of cutting to the chase at the end of, so you didn't get any minutes, so, right? Yeah.
No, they probably
So-
haven't approved them yet, because they'll do that at the subsequent meeting.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, there was a vote, and there's 3 options when you're making a motion. Does that sound familiar to you? One is if you get the approval of the harbor master. 2 is it, yeah. So there were 2 different motions that were made, and for the motion for disapproval, they took a vote, and that was voted 4-2 in favor of. And then they had another motion, and it was voted in favor 4-3 on the last one. And they took another motion, and it was voted 4-2 in favor of. So looking at the balance of those 2 motions, in favor of ended up being what was voted on. Is that clear to you? Because it was a little.
Not in the least.
Not in the least?
It was,
Oh,
it was
no.
4-3 on the Beach Island site.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Connors we were open to, all right, he's worried about that fast channel right there. So we were putting a 25-foot buffer there. He was asking if we could maybe lose one of the lines and make it a 50-foot. Bottom line, in that lease, we're going 25 in from everything. So he was good. I believe he said, if you took that far western line away and we're 50 feet in, I'd be good with it. That's what he told us.
That's right, but I think we're not even discussing the Narragansett one, right?
Yeah, I was just curious.
South Kingston one, they all said, hands down, no problem. If you could move them all up to that lease, that would be great. But they basically said the motion was that one passed, I think, with everybody, because that wasn't what they were concerned about.
Well, in Kevin Connor's words, he didn't see a problem. I don't know how much you guys coexist, Mike, with it.
Yeah, I've spoken with him, yes.
Yeah, and he thought that the 3 acres on that western side really are well inside the channel. And I mean, we've been out there for a long time. That's kind of where we were like, wow, this gets the least use. If Camp Fuller comes out, they're generally kind of in the center, and you know, we generally are pretty good working with them. URI is now staying farther up in the pond now that they have a new sailing. The other guy used to come down, but again, we try and be pretty transparent and open to, you know, if somebody has an issue or whatever. So.
I've pulled up the ArcGIS for the state that has the aquaculture. These are the aquaculture sites in the pond here, so it looks like maybe they're missing one line, but this looks like the area that is proposed in the application for you folks to view.
It looks like ours is, the
We're-
proposed 3 acres
There
is
should be like one
missing.
more line
Exactly.
here.
There's
Exactly,
3
yeah.
acres right there.
So
That's
it's
right.
further to the east, you're saying here?
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is the westernmost boundary of our leased site.
That's near the end of your packet, if you're looking for it. Before you get to the photographs, there's a chart.
I read the proposal, and I was trying to get my brain around the equipment and all that. How does it work? Do they stay in the water all year? How does the seasonality of that thing work?
That would get, they're pretty much, so it's basically a 1-inch line that is running through this,
Yeah.
right? The next one is right next to it. You got like I don't know if you guys know about dragon gear, but there's the rubber cookies, they call them,
Yep.
just as abrasion. So the next one is only about an inch away. The idea is that maybe once every 2 weeks, we run down them. I don't know if you've seen any of the Flip Farm gear, but there's an apparatus you put on the side of the boat, and literally you run down it, and you could flip like 400 of these in a matter of minutes. And so on a sunny day, we'd leave these out for maybe 6-7 hours to let them air dry, and then at the end of the day, we'd flip them back over. Wintertime, I mean, this winter we would have taken them out. I mean, but we haven't had a bad winter in a while. So,
Sometimes they stay.
yeah. Yeah.
We have it in the application that on the existing gear lease, that we leave some remaining bottom
this is
gear
accurate.
in the event that we need to empty the floating gear, if there's bad weather.
That's from, I think, their website. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's accurate or
Yeah.
not. If that's an accurate representation.
Yeah, these have kind of morphed into, they're working on, they've had problems in like up in the bay where it's more oceanic, but that's basically it. So you've got a 1-inch line that keeps all them in place, and then below it, there's a hauler line. So we would take the hauler line, and that's what the boat would run up and down, and then it would flip those over. It's the whole reason we're going after it. It's a game changer, and it helps with the fouling, the wave action, the boat wakes. It helps with producing a pretty nice oyster, and the dredge bottom is a huge challenge for us now with all the seaweed, and it's not, in our minds, it's really not sustainable. So, and trying to keep up with the people that do have it are dominating the market.
There is 25 feet between each line,
Each string,
Each
you mean?
string,
Because you're
correct.
running parallel
because you
strings?
need enough to be able to get a boat through it to be able to connect to the line.
Do you have any examples of people around here that are using this method?
Rome Point,
Yeah. Okay, so that's the one you see from the Jamestown Bridge when you're going over?
correct.
Okay. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that.
He's used, I talked to him, so we're in the co-op over in Narragansett, and there's a bunch of growers, and he had, what is that, marina up in Wickford. He dropped moorings for him, and I think he said they were like 3,500-pound pyramids. Granted, he's more oceanic. The one comment that we were talking about last night with Kevin is maybe 500 pounds is a little light. So we may, it's probably likely we're gonna do 1,000 pounds and have like Nick Etchells, set them for us and all that. Cause we can handle a 500-pound, but not a 1,000-pound. But that's likely what we're gonna do with, it would all be inside what we have now for space. And the idea is to put the anchor on the line and then have a shot of chain so that that's basically taken a lot, like a 7/8 1-inch link. And then it would come up to the ball, like you see there, and then you just run down it. So if there's spacing, kayaks, paddle boards, up and down, no problem. We generally don't see boats. If they transit around, they usually go a little to the north because that bar there on that, it shoals up pretty quick. So that's why we kind of chose that western edge there.
I'm just gonna pull up the, I got a no-wake chart I can show you folks to kind of give you like an orientation if you want for the channel and stuff.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
You can have any sort of marking to like navigable markings to delineate where the farm is and where the where the site is itself.
Well, there are, the spar buoys, the yellow ones. And we have said to Kevin, the Coast Guard's been hard to, they're just back and they're trying to catch up with stuff. But certainly, if we ran into problems before with DEM and CRMC that they didn't want us to put more markers out there. So we were going on what they said. we're up for whatever it takes. I mean, right now we have radar reflective tape. They're yellow, they're marked. They do show up on our radar, and the other lease by Beach Island actually shows up on most chart plotters. But if we need to put like a metal radar reflect, we're up for whatever we're allowed to make it safe, by all means.
So, just if you want to orient yourself to the pond, this blue area right here is all those aquaculture leases that you were just looking at on ArcGIS, right there. So the beach island is up here. That's the one in Narragansett, and then your other one would be over here. This is the town line here, and then this is your seasonal no wake zone in the channel right through here. So you probably, looks like maybe right about there is where you're
Correct.
probably proposing.
Yeah.
So your last none as you're heading north is just beyond that, and the yellow tubes that they're talking about are over here. There's one. There's some more over here, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like a rectangle.
We have 15.5 acres in that area, of which we're going for the 3 to be. I mean, the thing with this gear is you can pack them denser, and the survival rate is phenomenal. And so we don't want to give up the dredge lease, but we'll see what happens.
So this, correct me if I'm wrong, this area is your dredge lease, and then you have that other additional one that's in their chart here, and then this is somebody else's?
That's Dave Roebuck.
Okay, and this is also somebody else's?
That's Dave Roebuck. Dave Roebuck pretty much has everything except this is us, 15.5, and the 3 acres here, we're already permitted for low profile gear
On the bottom,
on the bottom, but we
Under the
haven't.
water.
Under the water, but.
which we
it's-
have not deployed.
Yeah, we haven't deployed anything. So yeah, it's 3 acres from our northwest corner is here, our southwest here, and then Dave's marking his. So there is a bunch of buoys, spar buoys out there, but.
Those are yours though, the spar buoys, right?
Well, the 2 of them are, but Dave, our neighbor he has his marked as well.
With a different buoy.
His are pretty much spar buoys.
Okay.
And we yellow, we try and paint them or spray paint them each year, and new reflective tape, and if we need to put a radar reflector on it, we're game. The birds are not as apt to settle on these because they're so jumpy in the water, whereas those old ones, they're pretty solid, so they're more likely to perch on those.
What kind of surface gear is on the surface in this area right now, and you proposed and your neighbor?
Right now, there's no surface gear.
No
This-
buoys, no markings, no?
Well, there's all the buoys marking
And how many are there?
the perimeter.
Or just how many?
Well, we have ourselves 6
Okay. In this whole area, would you?
in the 15.5, and then our neighbor probably has at least 6, maybe more like 8, because he has more ground.
This is the same area when we were putting the fireworks barge out.
Further to the north and west,
Right.
but in that, yeah, we were south and east
Right.
with the fireworks barge. That's more into Roebuck's lease.
Right, there was some issue, I think, that one of the years that somehow that barge interfered with this activity.
Well, I know Dave had stuff all the way, like kind of carved up all the way to the south. I
Right.
think that might have been one of the issues
Yeah.
one year.
Right,
Yeah,
was that within this whole?
yeah, it was.
Probably farther to the south.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
over. I got too many tabs open, or down in this area, right?
Yeah, I think he's allowed to put gear in that
Yeah.
square.
He has like some like lobster buoys, so
Yeah.
that was, so when we came in with the fireworks barge, I think we were like probably generally maybe around here and then heading up this way, because the house is probably, it's right here, I think. So we were like trying to get up this, this end as much as possible. I think this is the sponsor of that.
At the time, that was always supposed to be all bottom gear for vessels to transit the area. Is that still the case, Mike? Have you seen?
I think that's exactly what they said. They're permitted some bottom gear, but their current operations are dredging off of the bottom, out of the substrate.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Versus some of the other ones, have, various types of gear, and
Mhm.
right now you don't have any gear, correct? You
And the
dredge
15.5 now.
you dredge your stuff up from this area, from the beach
Right.
island. You guys have
It's
fixed
all
gear,
gear.
correct?
There's 600 cages up there.
That cloud is really inconvenient, I think. Right here. That's the state ArcGIS apparently. Can't see through the clouds. So this one you have buoys and gear in the
Correct.
water.
And that's
this one over
always
here
been
too,
that
right?
way. That's a raft system.
Okay, yeah. And then this is all, currently besides the buoys that mark the various leases for visibility, and some smaller like lobster pot buoys that have some fixed gear down on the south end. I believe that's the only activity that you would see on the surface in this area right now.
Yeah.
So you can, besides the buoys marking the various leases and some of the buoys for the gear, you can transit this whole area. You can't shellfish and you can't anchor, but you can do any other water column activity, boating, kayaking,
Right.
swimming, fishing,
Which-
as long as you're not touching the bottom,
Yeah.
because the lease
For the
is,
mo-
all the shellfish are on the bottom.
For the
Right.
most part, though, all the buoys and everything else are pilings that are at the ends of this thing, enough clutter that you really wouldn't want to go through there anyway for transiting.
It certainly is a deterrent. I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's some, but as they've spoken to, it's not a common thing, but certainly
Shallow.
you can, right?
Yeah,
You
you
kind
can
of have like
have-
that horseshoe sandbar
Yeah, you gotta
running
get
through
around
there.
the sandbar, so
I mean-
people don't transit there anyway.
Right, because the only reason that's this open area here, the white, right? So as you get further to the south, this horseshoe kind of closes up, right? So this is kind of your fast channel, the back channel that people run down here,
Yep.
and then they meet up down at High Point down here. So
Right.
so as you come in, I mean, there is some deeper water in the middle of this lease area in its entirety, but on either side, you're kind of ringed with a sandbar. You have that horseshoe kind of sandbar around the whole thing, around the west, south, and east.
When a lot of these were done years ago, everything was permanent on the bottom with nothing in the water column and nothing on the surface. For continuation of recreational activity and transiting vessels and stuff. I assume over the decades, this has been modified where gear is appearing on the surface and in the water column and stuff.
Well, my understanding is that's what this application seeks, is to modify the current activity
Right, but
in the water.
I'm just thinking.
In other leases?
Others.
There have been instances, I think Crown Point started that way, right, and that
Yeah.
one now has surface gear.
Right.
Certainly around Jonathan Island, area's changed. I haven't followed how that's progressed in Narragansett, but, they have floating cages over there.
Mhm.
A lot of the floating gear that has been permitted in the salt pond is what I would call to be like the first generation of floating gear. So much as ideas, techniques, products improve, this is maybe like the second or third generation in that they have streamlined it, so it's getting rid of a lot of the other issues, such as the birds perching on them. That was a big one. But the floating gear that is in the salt pond now is mostly the first generation. There's no other flip farm gear that I'm aware of that's there.
Yeah, the North Crown Point looks like a tire dump most of the time.
Yeah, those are, I don't know what those cages are called, if you, I can pull those up if you know what they're
It's
called.
the oyster grow, catch 'em, trap, sells 'em. That was kind of first generation. You know, you go back 30 years, this technology wasn't, I mean, we were using lobster pot wire to make cages.
Just trying to give you something to
Mm.
kind of compare, I guess.
Yeah, it's
right
it's like
here.
an 18-inch higher profile, whereas that's only like 7 inches.
Yeah, it's a totally different style of floating gear.
And they have bags in them.
I don't know why they had that nice picture, right? That's basically what they look like right there. I don't know why that's not coming up. This is kind of, right? That's kind
That's
of what's
it,
there
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except the way that looks black.
So that's more what you have at Crown Point, is that correct?
Correct. And the thing is, you can fill these with water in the winter and sink them. And they were developed up in Canada, and, you know, they deal with a lot of ice, so that's why they made them that way.
Any questions?
So, I mean, and each of this sort of changes would come to us separately. And, you know, this one is in shallow water, not in the middle of a channel.
Mhm.
But let's hope that this is successful. Other farmers will see it and eventually want this if it's positive. And thinking, you know, I think we could like figure out this one, but then as a group think ahead. If this was everywhere, is that okay? Or where is it? Where will it be a conflict? This one is like in the middle. This one is in a place that is not
Yeah.
conflicting with much of anything. But hopefully it's successful and other people pick it up and it's profitable. And we got to think ahead because everybody will want it if it works. So I don't know if that's like it's a separate item. I don't want to like do the slippery slope argument for one person trying to get a lease through. But like we want to think like as it goes. Possibly it's super great, but then it covers all the space that's leased. So
The,
Yeah, I agree, but I think to a certain degree, it's gonna be a case-by-case example, right?
Yeah.
Like this, you're gonna have very low stakeholder conflict, getting really good ecosystem benefits by having this in the water. You know, it's not gonna interfere with navigation. So I think the same way we look at dock applications, other things, it's gonna, just given the dynamic nature of things, it's gonna be a case-by-case example. And in this case, I don't have any concerns with what
Yeah.
they're proposing to do.
As this area got more and more congested, the URI sailing crowd moved down into Winchester area, and it seems to be better that they're tucked down there.
yeah, and I agree it's case by case, but as more cases go, it's harder and harder to say no.
Sure.
And so but that's true with all this stuff. So it's not like a
Yeah, well, when these originated, everything was on the bottom, and you can do anything you wanted on the surface. And that has devolved over the years to, you can't go in areas, and you wouldn't go in areas, especially with the kids trying to windsurf. When they tried to put that in the south side of Crown Point, it was, you know, foolish to even think of doing that. So that one moved everything to the north side. But, yeah, this doesn't add any congestion, I think, to what's already there.
Yeah, I think just, you know, we talk about this all the time, right? Between the no-wake zones, between the mooring fields, between the aquaculture sites, you know, the 5% rule for the aquaculture is only in shellfishing approved waters, which is not all of Point Judith Pond. So you just have that continued, you know, this is already an existing lease, but you just have that continued compression of recreation and being pushed out,
Right.
you know, to very limited areas of the pond.
Yeah, right now it's Wheatfield Cove is it. for water
Certainly
skiing.
for water skiing and those types of towable activities, that's it. You know,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit back in the pots for smaller boats, and that's about it,
Right. But that's a no-wake area anyway.
technically, yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing I'd add is just, you know, with the lower profile, obviously it's a little more difficult to see from the water, and this isn't a no-wake zone, so it's not like you're gonna have someone ripping through there, but you know, do what you can, check with the Coast Guard in terms of like, you know, making sure that other mariners are aware of, you know, that's there, and, because we do know how congested
Yeah,
that gets.
no, it'd be great to add in the middle of both sites, if it happens, to put another spar.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt.
Yep.
But we're open. I mean, again, this is our livelihood, and we're just trying to, if we could still make it the way we're doing it, believe me, we.
So is this like docs where we say, no objection? Okay.
correct.
I'll make a motion to say no objections as presented.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with one abstention. 5.
Is that a recusal or a abstention?
Abstention.
What's the difference?
Just that?
What's the difference? So I know.
Interest,
Oh, okay.
conflict of interest.
Do you want to mention what you said at the meeting as far as kayakers with the?
Yeah, we had a Mid-White Field farm tucked in with a group of farms between, Ram Island, Jonathan Island. And we use a different type of gear, but kind of same concept, small, low profile floating gear. And a few years ago, we went from all bottom cages to the surface. And one of the big comments within areas at commission was kayaking and paddleboarding and, kind of that type of recreation. But we kind of found after we got the permit, got a ton of gear in the water, we really felt like we saw more kayakers and kind of more paddleboarders than before. Just it seemed to kind of be the opposite reaction that folks had had, and kind of just creates a nice, good looking lanes to cruise down and something to look at and see. So that was kind of one thing we really enjoyed seeing after we put some gear out and got to see that in the cove. So that was really cool.
Okay.
I think the only thing I would mention from a safety standpoint is to your point of adding more markers. A lot of people like to jump out of the federal navigation channel and cut across to kick up speed and go to the east side of the pond. So it might be beneficial to clearly mark very visibly that northern boundary and kind of channel people away from the areas of your lease that you don't want them to be. They can traverse it if they want to, but if you kind of coax them to say this is kind of like a keep out area,
Right,
and then
right.
that'll kind of
Make it obvious this is a
Yeah, I mean
better
the stuff
way.
floating on the top will make it kind of obvious too,
Yeah.
but you know how that goes out
Yeah.
there. So if you kind of guide them and give them almost like a visual lane to go between the island and your lease, that might be beneficial for
Right.
you folks, that people aren't getting tangled up in it.
Aren't there two white PVC?
They have PVC pipes over there, yeah.
At the east and west ends, north ends?
Yeah, they have a whole box basically of your lease, right? The PVC pipes are all your lease.
Yeah,
A
and
full
Roebuck's
box.
lease, yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a small band between that and the no-wake buoys for Narragansett, in between the islands.
You're talking about on the east side. Yeah, I was talking about on the west side where this gear is gonna be, because people come up the federal navigation channel.
Right.
Before they get to the islands, some of them will cut out of the channel,
Right.
south of the islands, to run across,
Right.
to kick up and then head over to Beach Island.
Yeah, but that slot.
Kind of avoid the anchorage and all that.
There was a slot there, though, between the east and west no-wake area for the anchorage and the two pilings, white plastic pilings delineating the aquaculture area.
Yeah, I mean, I think the anchorage no wake buoys are not consistent.
Yeah,
Those aren't South Kingstown's.
right.
They kind of move around and to varying in amounts of them.
They kind of made a lane
Yes, I
for,
would agree
to
with
do
that.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about. So it might be good to coordinate that with Kevin, and maybe he can be a little more consistent and put something there that gives people a defined laneway through. In fact, if he did that, he might even put that on the Paytons.
Yeah, potentially, they'd have to get them permitted.
All set with that one?
All right.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Good,
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Folks have a comment on the Narragansett one, or you're just,
I
kind of took them both together, so
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
it doesn't matter to me, I just wanted to
Yeah, no,
confirm
I mean,
that if you want to go on the
I kind
regular.
of would defer to Narragansett on theirs, and we'll go, but they defer to South Kingstown for South Kingstown's commission.
Okay, it sounded like they took up both of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a new obstacle, but you can go around it. That's sort of what I got.
Okay, thanks very
All
much.
right,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Dorothy, we're gonna.
See you out there.
All right, take care, good luck.
Enjoy the new boat.
Thank you.
It was very informative. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you
Later.
all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
$40 right here.
My parents is, no, those, they're my in-laws.
Are they? Just wonder why you're so quiet. In-laws.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Oh.
let's jump to D7.
Okay, all righty. I'm Dorothy Hill. I'm the chair of the town's Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and we have been tasked with looking for a safe, off-road, family-friendly route to get from the north of Route 1 to the south, to get from maybe Wakefield to Town Beach. And it was pointed out that you guys are working on Marina Park and maybe linking Marina Park and Town Park or Farm Park. And so I just wanted to mention that we're also looking at some of the same area. It's how to get from Wakefield, underneath of Route 1, ways that are already there. Or ways that we can kind of work with you guys. We'd be happy to help in any way that we can, linking that the somehow along the bike path, perhaps, to Marina Park, and then take it from there. Maybe go, for our part, looking at ways to go over the Sagatucket and weave our way through. Obviously, this is a multi-year, decade possibility or proposal, but it's something that we want to start, that the town wants us to start and look at. So anyway, this might be a nice way to get that process started, just to link downtown or Wakefield to Marina Park. And so I don't want to take up your time. It's just something I'm throwing out there that we're looking at. I understand that you guys are looking at it as well. I don't know if you have a subcommittee that looks at it, or how you are trying to figure out, or if you are even trying to figure out how to get from Farm Park over. Is that something that you guys are currently looking at?
We're looking at taking over the so-called riverfront from the Grand Point operation.
Okay.
Marina operation.
Okay.
When the lease expires a year from this July. I
Okay.
believe it
That's
is.
this section right here.
Okay.
Right, and that goes right underneath on the Saugatuck.
Yeah.
So it goes right underneath Route 1,
Okay.
and it comes right up on the backside of the hospital's
Right.
parking lots. So it certainly is the most logical route to go from Marina Park to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the limit of just some generalized talking we've been doing now
Okay.
that we are going to get that frontage on the Saugatucket a year from now.
Yeah, okay. Well, we are working on just kind of outlining different, we're tasked with looking for maybe 5 different routes, north and south, through every which way, and then asking perhaps a consultant to help us
One of the
work
things
on
we're
that.
looking to do is make public access with those docks. The town would be responsible for those particular docks on the river.
Mhm.
But it would give people who are traveling, say, the coast, and want to pull in and have a place to tie up and go to town,
Right,
shop, eat, stay in a hotel,
yep,
if they ever get it done. on Main Street.
yeah. Sound,
So
it sounds
that's-
good, it sounds very plausible to, I mean, I've been looking at how we could perhaps get around the hospital, get onto Kenyon, and then maybe zigzag on some of the smaller streets
Yeah.
and work our way over to the bike path so that people could cross Main Street heading
Yeah.
towards Belmont.
Yeah, the
And
problem-
then-
Yeah, the problem you go with the bike path is it goes west and north,
Right,
and you want to go south.
exactly.
Right.
So that would be something that we'd have to work on
Yeah,
with
but-
residents and,
For the myopic view we're taking, just the park.
Right.
Because that's our purview. The idea of going under Route 1, it's already there.
right,
Something like we did on the old Jamestown Bridge was suspend a walkway underneath the bridge.
okay,
And if they could do something like that, then getting through the swampy area,
yeah,
it can be done.
Yep.
At the Land Trust, we just finished a $300,000 raised walkway through the Yagu swamps up at Yagu Pond.
okay,
And, came out very well.
okay,
But, so, yeah, our charter is the park.
right,
So if anything we're doing to get us from the park to town aids you or some modifications, we
Yeah.
just keep in touch and
yeah, that sounds
see
great,
if it makes sense.
that sounds great. Just keep us posted on what you're working on and we'll share with you as well.
The master plan got funded, right?
Part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we get the first installment July 1.
Yep.
So we'll look to try and see if we can start to advance that, even though it's not fully funded. It may be something that the process, the length of time that it takes, we may be able to kind of like roll into continuing fiscal years and see if we can start it earlier. That'll be up to, the bid that goes out and whether or not a portion of it can start that process. So we don't have to wait. Right now, it's slated for 3 years for the final installment.
Okay.
But if we can move that process along in those 3 years, we'll attempt to do that.
And it's
And-
the master plan for Marine Park, so that would be where we would say like, here's the bike path coming in, or.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
It's gonna look at lots of things for the park. Parking, pedestrian safety, vehicle flow, public access, the current operations down there, all of that. So it's a pretty broad encompassing area of looking at the whole property and how we could do things better, and make it better for the public. And one part of that would be the access to making it walkable and bikeable safely to Wakefield versus going across the entrance and exit ramps coming off the highway, which is what you currently have to do.
Right, okay, great, all righty, thanks. Thanks
you.
for,
Coming in,
for
appreciate it.
pushing me up. Although that was very informative, I really enjoyed that. Thank you, thanks for what you guys are doing. Okay.
Take care.
Going back up to E1. Harbor management plan.
How is this still on the agenda?
Well,
But it's a placeholder.
so the harbor management plan, there's been back and forth with the solicitor's office and DEM, wondering what the status is and what the holdup is, and DEM has basically said, we're requesting specific items from you, and we will not move this forward until you provide those items, but those items are clearly outside their purview. And so I think that the next step is to take whatever division handles that water quality certificate out of the equation and move it through the legal process. As of today, those conversations were being had as
The
to
item is
where do
this-
we go from
the
here,
item is
basically.
this water quality section?
Yeah, is that the term?
The DEM requires, I don't even think that CRMC requires a water quality certificate for the harbor management plan. DEM requires a water quality certificate for the harbor management plan. There's no actions being proposed, this is just a plan. And they have gone way outside the scope of water quality certificate stuff and requested specific annotations. They want them to be referenced as having authority under certain things that they don't have authority. So there's a lot of, basically the planning department, who has an attorney in the planning department in consultation with the solicitor's offices, said, we've provided everything that falls under the water quality certificate DEM regulations. Please cite in DEM regulations where this does not meet water quality certificate requirements. There's been no citation other than, you need to change this. And the answer is, tell me why I need to change it, because we said so.
And
Is basically what that is.
Just to get my brain around this water quality permit, is it like general language about like, we're gonna try to keep stormwater out of the pond, or what's the, what's the concept?
So in the non-government world,
Yeah.
when you do activities, so when we did the boat ramp,
Yeah.
when the Mazza Marina, last month you had a water quality certificate public notification. When you're gonna do work that may disturb the water and impair it, whether it's sedimentation, whether there's eelgrass in the area, or, you know, whatever, there's something that's gonna adversely affect the environment based on your activities, you need a DEM water quality certificate. That is a very, very
Different.
rudimentary explanation. I'm sure I'm butchering it,
It's helpful though.
but it's part of the process with certain CRMC permitted activities, Army Corps of Engineer activities, that you need to have DEM review it for a water quality certification. Normally, it's pretty cut and dry, boilerplate, you submit it, they stamp it, you get it back.
Yeah.
In this instance, we're not proposing to do any work that's gonna affect water quality.
Right.
What it appears is this is DEM trying to kind of muscle their way into the harbor management plan process.
As a policy tool for whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Yes, or inter agency politics, right? There's, you know, talk of bringing CRMC under DEM. I'm not sure what the angle is, but they're trying to broadly exercise their authority on something that they don't have statutory authority on, right? So their scope is very, very narrow, and they've taken upon themselves to expand their scope to include even grammatical changes. They've said you should rewrite this in a different manner because we don't like the way it sounds and things like that. So it's been pretty broad, and the stuff that was like reasonable, like, okay, you want this 1B instead of 1A, or you want it to say the instead of a, like some of it was pretty trivial. Like, we've gone ahead and accommodated that, because at the end of the day, other than it being a burden on staff to make those changes, it doesn't fundamentally change. But where staff is having an issue and is seeking the solicitor to step in is to say they're asking things, in some cases, things that may actually be illegal, right? Because we don't have either the authority to tell someone to do that or whatever. They've said that we don't feel comfortable. They're saying do this. We don't see where it says they have the authority to tell us to do this, and we don't feel comfortable saying that in the plan. And for our understanding is CRMC has reviewed this and not provided any comments back. And I don't know if that's because of the DEM. They've been largely silent, even though they're in this whole process. They've been largely silent on this process with DEM. So I have no new updates other than the past couple months, the planning department has re-engaged with both DEM and the solicitor's office to say, where are we on this and where are we going with it? Because we've done our part, and DEM says we're not gonna move it until you do the things we've asked. So.
Are we aware of other towns in the same pickle?
So everybody was put on the back burner. I think we're at the top of the list of the people who were put on the back burner because DEM was rolling out this new permitting process, and anybody who's been trying to get a permit to do anything through DEM has encountered this, where they basically said, we have a new software coming out, we're not doing anything until this new software came out. New software came out, they had all sorts of issues. Now things are backlogged, things aren't getting through. So we are kind of, I think, at the head of the line, if not the first one, is kind of like the guinea pig, which is also another reason why the planning department has basically said, put their foot down and said, no, this is the process, we want to follow the process, because one, everybody else is going to get jerked around behind us, and two, when we're re-upping in a few years, you set the precedent that now we have to do all this stuff, which we don't feel you have the authority to tell us to do. So that's the harbor manager planning saga.
To be continued.
That's why it's still on the agenda.
That's why it's old business. I'm gonna create a new line item that says very old business.
And then you only get to ask that question once a year.
Once a year.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on, we're 6 years out, we're 5 years out, we've actually missed a
We
cycle.
should actually start working on it.
Yeah, on the reauthorization. Just change the date on the bottom of it.
Sorry.
GIS.
Yeah, it's, so Tracy's been working on that. She's been provided the information that Nate had. I've given her, the okay to say if she wants to reach out to you for clarification information, meet with you, whatever.
Yep.
If she wants to come in here and meet with you folks, she seems enthusiastic about it. Of course, she has to fit it in with all her other, responsibilities and duties, but she's shown me some of kind of the beta stuff that she's working on. It looks similar to like the one that CRMC kind of started to embark on. It's a little different than what Jay had started working on. That was like more of like a story. This one's like a little more like kind of like our GIS layer kind of thing. But she's, open to whatever suggestions you have.
Good. Oh, here we are. D3. You should just say ditto on all these.
Ditto. No, we have action on this one.
We do, oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Well, they're up.
So Lake Avenue, Washington Street, public rights of way, the small boat storage. We did receive the permit from CRMC to start work. I think I gave you that update last month. Work has since started. So the facilities department had built the racks in the garage over the winter. The parks department went in and started prepping the site, and the highway department prepped the gravel base for the kayak racks, and then parks brought in the playground wood chips, and then facilities came and set the racks on that area, so that's done. The town council authorized a reallocation of ARPA funds that were remaining that have to be spent by the end of 2026 to do the site work at Lake Ave, because as you recall, we kind of ran into an issue with CRMC where there was some past history. They wanted stormwater management structures installed, and they wanted the invasive species remediation, and by doing the drainage swale, we have to move the gravel access road, and all that has to be pitched for drainage and all that stuff. And then we have to put in native plantings, and the highway department and the parks department didn't have the staffing at the time to do that work in-house. So that's been bid out. D'Amber's been awarded the contract. They are working, which we'll get to, at Marina Park right now. When they complete that, they're gonna go to Lake Avenue. They'll do that site work. The 14th, we're gonna close the public offering for the racks, and then switch it over to as you register, you'll go on the wait list. We'll assign what we have, and then if there's a balance, the people that register by the 14th, we'll use a lottery to set those people up on the wait list, and we'll be off and running. So Washington Street will follow behind. We didn't want to muddy the waters with CRMC on the Lake Ave, kind of take them one at a time, so I'm just waiting on plans back from engineering. And then we'll get that one going. Hopefully that will be much easier, because it's literally just putting racks in a little kind of clearing that the brush is lower there. We'll just clear the brush out. So as long as they approve that, we'll be off and running on that.
Okay. Looks good, though.
Yeah, if you haven't been down there, the work has started, so feel free to check that
I
out.
think you should make up a plaque dedicating it to Nate.
That'll go over in the neighborhood real well. Most people are like, wow, they thought it would never happen, and they're shocked. They're like, this looks wonderful. So I had a lot of positive feedback for the most part, even from the people that are skeptical.
There's a lot of support, yeah, broadly, both from you guys, the town council, the public.
Has it filled up with applications besides
Yes.
me duplicating myself in the system a couple times?
Yeah, there's, I didn't check it
Start
today,
sending some spots.
but last I checked, I think we're like approaching 50 maybe,
Yeah,
something like
okay.
that, yeah.
50?
50, I think, yeah.
So the mooring
16
people got
spots.
the memo and everybody
No,
else.
there's more than that,
Is it?
yeah.
I come-
And I think, so one thing that we'll have to contemplate as this rolls out, I think we talked about this, may have to like amend some changes because we put in the ordinance of how it'll be allocated, but something that might happen is somebody gets a spot, they only have one kayak,
Yeah.
can we offload that second
Go
spot in
to
their
one.
bay to
Yeah.
another person? We didn't really disclose that in the ordinance, we were kind of restrictive, I think, in that manner, but,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out on how it best fits, and then I'll bring that back to you guys, and if there's things that need to be amended, you can go on
Yeah,
that.
just trying to figure out how to maximize the.
Yeah, I'm not gonna leave an open spot, like, right, like, it doesn't make sense.
The way it's sitting there now with the noodle running down, holding that runoff, I guess.
Well, there's two sections of earth that don't have anything stabilizing it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How is that gonna be set up, so when you approach it, because right now you're gonna have to climb a hill to put it in, put your boat in.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to, address the grade, we talked about that with the Amber on site
Yeah.
just 2 days ago.
And how do you have,
The speculation is, well, I don't know, we'll see how it finishes, but that we were gonna walk back to the road and around was the, I'd take my boat off the thing, instead of going down the slope, I
right,
was gonna go out,
So, the one thing, facilities made the rack based on the plans.
yeah,
There's a possibility that, we may have to lose that last bay if they can't, if it's too steep, because it's pretty close, that last bay closest to the water is a pretty steep drop off. Like, you have a little bit of room to move and then it's like straight down. So we'll evaluate that when the site's done, but we did talk about, having that one. I do have pictures too, not on the laptop, but I can pass them around too.
yeah.
That's the site plan, right? So this is the gravel swale over here,
Yeah,
and then the road will be moved to here. There's an 8-foot gravel access area. One thing we talked about that may help a little bit is rather than cutting out the bank here, they're gonna kind of have the road curve and end at the bottom of the swale, which is gonna have stone for drainage anyway. So it'll kind of like arc and hook to the south and the east at the end, so that you don't, because otherwise you're gonna have like kind of like a cliff there that they're gonna have to cut out, and then the current gravel that's there, the step down, that'll be graded out, hopefully, just as a smooth hill from that, and then a smooth hill down to the gravel access road.
it's soil right now.
Yes.
How are they gonna stabilize that from
Grass.
erosion and people, grass?
They're gonna plant, so it'll be gravel, then there'll be a grass section, and then the wood
Right.
chips up on the top where the
Right.
rack is.
Okay, I don't know if the grass is gonna hold up with that, it's a hell of a pitch.
Well, I think the pitch is gonna change a little bit,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't figure out if people are gonna go, take the dive off the thing or go walk it back to the road and around.
Yeah, what I've suggested is that either way, we don't wanna have a step down, so
Yeah.
I think a steep slope is better than a step down,
Yeah.
right? Cause at least then
Yeah.
you're not having to get your footing
Yeah,
dropping
You
a
don't
couple
wanna take
feet.
it out and try to walk up, cause you're gonna walk up with one leg this, one,
Yeah.
you're gonna walk sideways on a hill.
Cause they wanted, when they put the rack in, they wanted it level,
Yeah.
rather than
Right.
being on an angle, so.
What's the capacity, do you know? Thing's huge.
It's 50 feet long,
Holy moly.
and then you had 6-foot bays.
Do you know what?
8 of
what's-
them.
How many slots
8 bays,
that can hold 2 boats?
yeah,
Or one dinghy, and two levels.
right.
It's 2 stories.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, the other problem with the slope is if people use it, nothing will grow there, it'll just be like treaded
Right.
out. And so we'll have to see how it works, how
Mhm.
how people use it.
Mm. So as of right now, anything between the rack and the gravel, they're gonna hydroseed.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another alternative to that, right? Because you can't put other plant species, because then you can't walk through it.
That, on the side of the highway, they use that, it's like grass seed in burlap.
Yeah, I've seen that,
Like,
yeah.
just, I don't know if it's.
Yeah, that's like an
steep or not.
erosion mat that they lay out. The
Yeah.
highway department does that sometimes.
I mean, cause the hydro seed could just wash out if it.
If it doesn't take, yeah, you know.
When somebody takes the boat out of the water, they're gonna go straight to their slot. They're not gonna go up and then down.
Theoretically, but it's actually a pretty significant hill. Like, with
Yeah.
with a paddleboard, maybe, but a dinghy, there's no chance you're going up that hill.
Right.
By yourself, at least.
And then the other discussion was, do you leave the rack up against that stone wall now, or do you try and move it off of that a little bit? Right now it's staying there, but you do have some room to creep it out. But I don't know if that helps you at all, because then you would lose that flat
Yeah.
space to walk.
Yeah, I was the opposite. Like, you want that flat space to
Yeah.
like settle and then go around and
Mhm.
figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal, but short of excavating the whole area, I don't think there's a lot of options.
It's better than what it was.
Yes, and you'll see what it turns into and address it then.
Yeah.
Great. Moving on.
So they think they'll be done with the site work probably, maybe not the plantings, but the actual site work, they're hoping Monday or Tuesday next week they'll be done with that.
The guys said they'd have the parking lot done Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, boats and waterway ordinance, ditto?
So I have the track changes document. I actually went through it today, and I was trying to figure out, do we have an extensive list of the changes we were trying to make? Because we're sort of like 1/3 of the way through the different bullet point items. There's good changes in the document where it's like fixing things that have passed in terms of timing, or like mistakes or references to new sections that we added. But we had some sections that were more complicated, like the anchors for the moorings. We finished the transient dock language. We decided we didn't need any transient mooring language. I was trying to understand what's left to do. What are the sections that are left to do? The only one I can think of is the anchors, the mooring.
That pyramid conversation.
Yeah, pyramid and the gear levels.
I do have a list. I thought I
And we had a list, that's why I'm asking, we had
Yeah,
a
we
list
do
of-
have a list of stuff. There was like some other things, like the outhauls,
Yeah.
the signage about putting unauthorized no wake signs.
Sign, no signs.
But again, like, these are all things, like, you can take them in a block, you can, put them out as you guys come up with them,
From a technical perspective, have we moved anywhere on mooring tackle?
No. I asked the mooring inspector, I never get anything. So I do have like some notes here. There was like some minor things, looking at Narragansett no wake zones versus our no wake zones, and are they the same? Not that we need to move to theirs, but just shared waterway, are we addressing things the same or differently? The use of the town-owned floats and docks and the dinghy docks, the kayak racks, we've beat that to death, I think.
Well, we finished.
Houseboats.
We got the kayak rack changed.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, houseboats. There's some technical things, like they reference Cambuie 20 for the Upper Point Jewett Pond, that's out of date. Transient moorings, we talked about.
We decided not to-
Penalties, we talked about. The change into municipal court, I think that may have already been changed.
That did.
And the method of payment.
Do we set the fines? Did we-
The fines are still in there, but we can also go with the state thing, the state or the federal
Yeah.
list as well. And then the mooring specifications was another thing.
Does the council care what we put? Did they actually react to it
For what?
for the fines? structure?
That's done. That was done with the municipal court thing.
Okay.
Out hauls, we talked about that, cause they're kinda cropping up. People are just throwing boats and anchoring them to the shore. And currently, we can regulate them, but we don't. I think that was it. I do have a list somewhere else. I thought it was in this folder. I apologize. But I can try and see if I can put something together and send it out to you guys so that you have that, if it's
Yeah.
not something that's already floating around that you guys have been working on.
The only one that seems like we need it to run a system that is happening is the transient dock. If, right now, it's a sort of not ordinanced, which is fine, but that's the only one that I can think of, like, something's happening that's not in there.
Right, if there's a violation, we have no way to enforce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than the 15-minute rule, right, I mean, the 15-minute regulation, so we could hang our hat on that, even though the sign tells you you can keep the dinghy on the other side.
Okay, how about number 5? Cool story.
I'm still waiting on other departments to move that. That's, the engineers and
Right.
those types need to put their final stamp on it.
Okay, and of course, the parking lot is expanding as we speak.
Yeah, so if you haven't been in my Marina Park, the Amber's over there. That was awarded back in March, I think, for them to expand that. So they're gonna mirror what's going on with the other stone section. They'll grade and laboratory roll the existing stone section, so that it's kind of cleaned up a little bit where people have like dug it out, rutted it out, whatever. There'll be a 5-foot perimeter along the fence of grass, or 6 foot. I think they changed it to 6 feet because the mower decks are 6 feet, so the parks can mow around that. And then we've had discussions about the barrier between the front end of the parking lot and the back end for the trailer parking. That seems to be moving forward. I don't know how quickly that'll happen after the fact, but Parks is pretty confident that they'll just be able to, use their auger and drop the poles in and put that up. And then we'll have the police department sign off on some type of ordinance that's enforceable, and we'll sign it, and hopefully that'll help down there. The public services engineers are gonna develop a parking lot line arrangement, so we'll use the field paint again, we'll paint lines so that it's hopefully a little more organized. If it's possible, they'll do 2 rows of trailer parking, which is the bare minimum, and then 1 along the asphalt of just cars. If it's possible, they'll try and add a lane with a 2nd row of cars going into the barrier to the trailer parking, if there's enough room, to try and ease all of those parking issues down there.
Any intent to put any landscape screening along the state fence?
I mean, there certainly it can be done, but we don't have a current budget or
Right.
plan for that.
Yeah. It would look nice.
It would look nice.
It would look nice.
It would look nice. Certainly, it's something you can look at.
Yeah.
We're cobbling together money as it is for
No,
this.
agreed. We can talk
We also need to look at possibly extending that fence along the highway, because the DOT came in and cut all the brush around the highway sign. So now it's an open grassy opening right to the highway that kids and dogs and whatever else, just to the side of where we're clearing. There's a big,
To the west?
to the west, there's a
Really?
big, I must say Salt Pond Road or something, but last year they cleared like a huge square around both sides of it, and it's just grass running right up to the highway now. The only thing between the highway and the park is a guardrail on the side of the highway.
And this is on the westernmost, so it's down towards,
Not westernmost, it's like right after where we're clearing for the parking lot.
really, I walked that today. I
Yeah.
thought the fence was intact all
No,
the way.
no, it ends pretty much right where the parking lot's gonna end.
Ah,
So, and then after that, but there used to be brush and trees and
Right.
stuff, so there was a vegetation barrier, but they went and cleared around
Yeah.
the highway sign, so now there's no barrier there anymore.
They must have had a fence at one time, because they used to use the concrete
Yeah, I know.
pillars and stuff.
Not recently, anyway.
maybe we should ask the DOT to put that back up.
Yeah. Yep.
Cause I walked along there and it got so gnarly in there.
Yeah, it's just beyond that,
Yeah.
section.
With all the work going on, I imagine there's already some test dummies coming in, launching boats and doing that sort of work. Has there been any conflict with the construction work? Are they doing it like?
No, I mean, the construction work just started yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday? When is it? I don't know, my days are blending together now. It's not been more than 2 days that they've been there. I think today was day 2.
Yeah.
Today was the second day they've been there.
How much work do you think they got going? Like, how
Oh,
many-
they got a lot done between yesterday and today. They already cleared out that like kind of like hilly, like messed up area. That's all graded out. I didn't have a chance to get down there today. Mike, I think you went down there, so.
It's all leveled out,
Yeah, and the path is gone. That was gone yesterday.
and all that beautiful soil's leaving.
Yes, a lot of nice topsoil
Anybody
coming out
wants
of
a
there.
beautiful loan?
You gotta buy it back.
Yeah, exactly. No, they took a huge swath where the walkway was.
Took a huge swath of what?
The tar walkway that was there.
They removed it.
Yeah, they removed that, but it was like, seemed to be twice as wide as the walkway.
Oh, maybe that's the width of the, whatever machine pulled it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks great though. And like I said, they'll be done, Monday. Moving on to Marina Park, Town Farm Master Plan, we already talked that to death. Lease docks along the river, July 1st, 2020.
Yeah, I did update that. I guess it didn't show up. I know you had asked me to change the way it was discussed,
Mhm.
and I did change that, but I think it might have been after I sent it to you guys, because I forgot to do it. So
Yep.
you'll see that in future,
Okay.
the removal of the word docks.
When it returns to town operations, is town operations, Mike, like, who's this gonna land with, is kind of what I was.
Probably me.
Okay.
Yeah, Marina Park is generally me.
Maybe a marina
Docks,
runner,
boats,
too.
if it has something to do with the water, is generally me.
Hmm.
I mean, it depends on what the operations are, I suppose, too, right? If
Yeah,
it's floating Little League, then it might not be me.
but I think when we talked about this for a couple of meetings,
Mhm.
the idea that we kind of promulgate jurisdiction and move it along and have ideas and
Yeah.
see if we can capture the whole thing and do something with it.
And one of the good things is in the pipeline, you have that congressional directed spending grant hanging out there. So if that's successful, what was the number, 500, I think, 500,000 maybe, is coming in to do work there. Of course, it's gonna have to address what was discussed in the application, which is public access, dockage, things of that nature, but there's nothing to say you couldn't roll other things into that in that
Yeah.
process.
And this is next summer, so this winter we'll have to like get all the ducks in a row of like how the town would operate.
We have to really, I think, come up with some concepts and then probably go through staff and town council.
Yeah, it'd be worth having a working session to come up with some ideas, and
Right.
and if you think about the way things are gonna go, like, if we don't meet in July, then we're into August, and we know how challenging, how long it takes us to kind of move things forward, so I definitely wanna keep this front and center,
Yeah.
so we're not, next spring being like right around the corner, not ready to go with some ideas.
So the only thing I would say is, certainly the ideas are fine.
Yeah.
The funding's gonna be the issue, so if that
Yeah.
grant funding doesn't come through, currently it's funded, docks are funded in, the out years of the CIP, but there's no funding currently. I think, when the lease ends, the council's, probably gonna look to say, what are we doing here? Maybe you can get the master plan process rolling at the same time, and maybe that's one of the first things it takes a crack at.
Right.
And if the grant comes through, then that kind of steers what you're doing in that area anyway. But it doesn't sound like when the lease is over, it sounds like you'll look out there and it'll just be an open river.
Right.
There's not gonna be any type of
No.
of docks or
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, spending the time what we call it, as a waterfront module of a master plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we modularize it, it might have a chance of, like, the ramp. We always had trouble with that ramp because they always tried to make it grandiose. That's what killed it for 2 decades. And so if we can narrow this down to a waterfront module that's gonna have docks, and what you do with them after that is, you know, can evolve, devolve, whatever. Otherwise, you don't get it off the ground because they're gonna wait till the whole orchestra is in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest that, you know, we have something that puts a little marina together there. And it connects to, can we shoot the line under the highway and down into Wakefield?
The other thing to contemplate too, which I've discussed with staff, is that right now Silver Spring has plans to dredge their marina in the next couple of years. So if we were ever to contemplate trying to dredge over there, that would be the time to do it. So you could probably have a channel cut across, because they're only gonna do, if Ram Point doesn't join on with them, which they haven't in the past, they're only gonna do to halfway across the river and then their dockage area. So you'd have to follow that and then cut across to the section that the town's taking back. Unless Ram Point decides to do, which they desperately need to do over there for the balance of the river docks. But they've not, in the multiple years that's been an opportunity for them with, say, with Silver Spring, they've not done it. So, I don't know if they're having conversations with them currently, but I do know that that's in the pipeline for Silver Spring in the next couple of years. In fact, they were gonna do the survey work this winter, but there was too much ice, so they never got in there.
Yeah. And the town council's gonna ask us for what we're gonna do with it. You know, I know they're gonna approve it, but they're gonna go, what do you guys think we should
Yeah.
do with it?
And that's why it behooves us to be on the point and have a reasonable plan thought out so that we can fend off any attempts to make it some big grandiose thing that guarantees its death. Okay. Indian Lake?
Actually, there was just an email today looking to schedule a public meeting at, Town Hall in the next couple months, for the lake management plan. So I'll keep you posted on that, but DEM just contacted us today asking about that.
Yeah. What is this development of a Saugatucket River watershed plan by
That's-
DEM?
So most watersheds in the state have a plan which then makes them eligible for funding for water quality improvements and habitat restoration, things of that nature.
Mhm.
The Saugatucket River doesn't have that, so
Mhm.
DEM, it's their next one to do,
Oh,
which will help because we'll have a lake management plan for the headwaters of Indian Lake. Then they'll have that plan, which then you can apply to like EPA for
Mhm.
grants
oh, okay.
and things like that, which, so that will help to clean up and, you know, do things for the river, but that's kind of like the first step.
Yep.
So DEM's working on that, but I just think it's important to keep that in, you know, in people's vision to know that something's happening there.
Hmm. Okay, Hydrilla.
I don't have any new updates. You know, we talked about the kiosk being done over at Warden Pond. They're gonna start in June again with the herbicide treatments at Indian Lake. This will be the second year of the town funded herbicide treatments with the grant funds. The balance is town funding. So we'll do that same 6 treatments again this year.
Yeah.
And if anyone's interested, Warden's Pond, Friends of Warden's Pond is working to establish a nonprofit group to look at Warden's Pond and try and work on hydrilla there like Indian Lake group did.
Oh, nice. Okay, Richland Pollock ramp.
There's no new updates we talked about, there's no funding currently, and there's some questions on the ownership and things of that DEM has to work through, but.
We couldn't permit it through DM anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll keep this on there to hopefully kind of keep some
Yeah.
pressure and momentum on it.
Okay, new business is done. Harbor master report.
Yeah, today we took delivery of the boat. I gave you a picture of it being craned off the trailer. No issues, everything went smoothly. We didn't have a truck in town available today to get it back to town, so tomorrow morning we're gonna go pick it up.
Where's
It's at Jamestown Boatyard right now. They were the closest crane that could accommodate it and do it when we needed it done. It was actually a little more difficult to find a crane to take it off unless we want to rent the crane for a day or a half a day, which is a lot more money. So they were great to deal with, Jamestown Boatyard. It actually coincided with Safe Harbor's some, I don't know, retreat or training or something. So a lot of the Safe Harbor upper level people, many of which who operate the cranes, are in Florida this week. So that was another issue, is that Safe Harbor owns most of the marinas. So the marinas that had a crane couldn't do it because the guy that operates the crane wasn't gonna be here this week. So anyway, but Jamestown was great. They had a bench that was a little deeper than some of the other ones, and they were able to get it done for us. So I would anticipate we'll probably have it in next week. There's some things that have to get put together and set up, and so hopefully it'll be in the water at some point next week.
Do you have to do the full engine break-in?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a pain.
It is a pain. Yeah.
Lots of putts in a row.
20 hours of varying the throttles. Yeah. So I'm trying to get that done as soon as possible.
Yeah, seriously.
And then get it in for
I
service
would
and get it
catch
back.
you, but I can't right now.
Okay, jet dock.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because we couldn't put the jet dock at Ram Point, and because the boat just arrived today, the jet dock is not going to be set up for the boat. And right now, the soonest that they can get a crew here, because they're working all over the country doing jet dock installations, is the week of June 1st. They're going to try and come sooner if they can. I've made alternate arrangements in an area to keep the boat in the water that doesn't immediately leave a brown stain on the entire hull, which is what would happen in the upper pond this time of year. So I got a place to keep it further down the pond, and then if jet dock can get here sooner, great. If not, we have a place we can use the boat.
Status update on new slip assignment?
We'll see how that goes. It's there, the dock, I dragged the dock over there, it's tied up in the slip, and the security camera's been ordered and has arrived, and everything's ready to go, so we'll see.
Is this for the fish incident, security camera?
Yes, and any other subsequent incidents that might occur. If it was fish the first time, it might be a fire the next time.
Yeah.
I'm out front.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right, great, thanks Bob, have a good night.
Mooring renewals.
Those are out. We're seeing them come in daily. Everything seems to be going fine with that.
All right. And our next meeting is June already. Oh, boy. Lovely. Does anybody want to make a motion on H?
Make a motion to conclude the meeting.
Second.
Second, all in favor?